Hi, welcome to the 2026 Console Room Chibnall-Era Deep Dive, Series 12. The convention is January 23rd to 25th, 2026, but this is actually pre-recorded. For us, it's December 30th, 2025. So a bit of time travel. It's a hybrid convention, in person in Minnesota and also on Discord and then on YouTube a bit. And the convention is a 501c3 nonprofit. This specific panel, we're taking a look at Series 12 during Chibnall's-Era, but you should also check out our other panel on Series 11 and the one that we're going to record after this, Series 13. So now we're going to go around and do a bit of introductions. My name's Charlie. My pronouns are they, them. My social media handle is SheRegenerated13. I'm like a Whovian, first and foremost, artist, cosplayer. I was a panelist last year, and you can hear me ramble a bit more in the Series 11 video. Watch that. And we also share like how we first got into Doctor Who in that one as well. So now I will go ahead and pass along to Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber. I usually hear pronouns. I am a multidisciplinary storyteller, which is my attempt at trying to combine all of the different mediums that I work in: artist, writer, designer, comic book letterer, do a lot of different things. Also a former convention committee member for Console Room. So Doctor Who and this convention are near and dear to my heart. And I will pass it on to Katherine Sullivan.
Oh, I'm Kathryn Sullivan. I write middle grade fantasy and science fiction. I started in Doctor Who when it was on PBS. So we're talking Tom Baker, we're talking Hartnell, Troughton. I've got reviews in anthologies such as Outside In Regenerates, Children of Time, because back in the day, I also wrote reviews of various fan videos too at the time. And Katherine?
Yeah, my name is also Katherine. My pronouns are she, her, and yeah, I started watching back in 2005, 2006, whenever it came to the US with my mom as it premiered. After a few episodes, she had to start screening them before she would let us watch because we were like 7 years old. So it wasn't too scary. But yeah, I've always been a casual fan, and then I kind of got really into it around March 2020, caught up on Series 12 when home and had DVR with my mom, and I haven't really looked back since. Yeah, so I've gone to this convention since 2022, I think, and I've really been enjoying it, and Doctor Who as a fandom, and yeah.
Hey, all right. So I just want to start off by saying how gorgeous this series is, like the cinematography and everything. So I'll probably bring that up a couple times. But yeah, for Spyfall, like first thing I wrote down was that, and then second was like the Doctor being catfished and holding a photo of a fish was just hilarious to me. And like the whole time just like talking with the master and not even knowing it. Like imagine your ex like catfishing you. That it's so funny. When I was rewatching it, it just all clicked for me at a whole new level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you should tell folks what Spydoc is, because I did not
Oh,
mention Thasmin is 13 and Yaz in the last Series 11 one.
yeah, so Spydoc is kind of the fandom like ship name for the master, who people refer to as both Dewan Master, and also I feel like newer folks call him Spy Master because that's kind of what the like official like Doctor Who like social medias called him. So you might see both, but Spy Doc is specifically the master and the doctor. And I am a fan of that ship, but I described them in the master panel last year as what I call turbo divorced. So not necessarily like a go off into the sunshine relationship, but yeah, very much like you mentioned, like, oh, like toxic exes. Like that's kind of how I view them as. I still also like, I mean, before I kind of ship them specifically, I also love just seeing them as like tragic ex-friends that like lost kind of their way. I'm very much kind of interpret however you like, but that's just my specific flavor. But that's what that means. But yeah, this episode, I love so much, like the note that I wrote for Spyfall Part 1 is the concept of O is so good, of like the long con, very mastery, like of basically every iteration of the master, of like long cons, disguises, especially as someone who watched Classic Who after Series 12 came out. I feel like I appreciated it a lot more, like that concept. And like both in the like way that of like the mind games of thinking that it's like, oh, here's this perfect little innocent like companion that you like, who's all like doe-eyed and excited to like see the TARDIS and stuff, and then having that be kind of like such a like for years plan. I love the reveal's so good.
Can I add on? So in Spyfall, in part 1 in particular, so when we get to because I know we don't like officially meet the master as the master, I guess, until the end. It's there through like a big chunk of the episode, and I think this is the first time that I just rewatched parts 1 and part 2 earlier today, and I think it's the first time I've paid like close attention to it since I've seen it a few times since it first came out, but I was just like, I want to refocus on this one because it does have some really clever, like spy kind of heist vibes, which is nice. And there's a couple moments. I think the first time I watched it, I thought he just had some kind of like nervous tics, which I think would be sort of in character for like the character he was playing as O. But like now that I'm like rewatching it, knowing that he's the master, I feel like there's so many of these really clever little moments that you could absolutely misinterpret, as I did the first time because I didn't know he was the master. Where I feel like he is just barely keeping it contained. Like he just like, I feel like there's a part of him that's just like wants to scream, "I am so clever," and you don't know it yet. But I also want it to be like known how clever I am, but like he doesn't want to like ruin it yet. And I feel like he's just this like barely contained like mass of just wanting to, I don't know, shout gotcha through like the whole episode. Until like right at the end where I feel like for him it has been this like really satisfying reveal that he like finally kind of pulled one over on the doctor at the end. He's been like playing that long game the whole time. There's so many like really clever little moments where he's just like, he almost does like a master smile and he kind of like tones it down for a minute. So good.
Yeah, and that is one of the lines. He literally says, "So satisfying" during the reveal. Just since you said that.
And the little classic things of having the poor guy shrunken down.
Yes.
And the reference, more the visual reference of the house flying by, like in The Wizard of Oz. But that's the Master's TARDIS flying by.
Yeah.
That was such a cool reference. Because I had to go back and watch it a couple of times to actually see that. But there's so many good lines too. The one thing that bugged me though is that they seem to have forgotten that Australia and UK are 18 hours, 19 hours of time difference. So would it really be nighttime in both places at the same time? No.
That's something that I'll have to keep track of next rewatch, because I know that there's times where it's like seems like it was just night and then it's like morning in Australia, and I guess part of me was like, maybe it's like early evening there and like about to be morning there. But I also have a lot of online friends in both the UK and Australia, so I kind of know the weird gaps in time maybe more than the average viewer.
That just reminds me. That reminds me of when I would try to like do time math for like when episodes would be out, and then like Ray Holman or someone would retweet them, and then I'd be like, "No, wait, that's wrong. No, wait, that's wrong." And it was so embarrassing. I can't with the time math. I can't.
That's okay.
But
World
like
clock,
with
my friend.
the Master's reveal, like I just like.
Yes.
So good. It's like I was never a big like Master person, and I like Missy, but like Sacha Dhawan is just like his performance, it was so good. Like the reveal was amazing. And like instantly I was like, this is gonna be an amazing Master. And then I just literally just wrote the Master introduction perfection. But yeah, I also I remember like the actors, I don't know if it was Mandip and Sasha or like just Sasha, but I remember they like talked about like the Master flirting with Yaz to like really make it like worse during the reveal. And the like stick with me Yaz because I control everything, and like everyone was so back then, like Especially like everyone was like, oh, Yaz was going to betray the doctor. I remember all that talk too.
Oh.
I never believed it.
No, yeah, I was
Ride or
not.
die. Ride or die. But yeah, and also a bit about like the Yaz's like mental health journey too. We touch on this, like she thought that when the Kasavan got her, like she thought she was dead, and then the glass box parallel will come back, and Ryan said he wouldn't, like he wasn't gonna, you know, let anything bad happen to her, but it says in the script like she doesn't believe him. I know, and oh gosh, and there are also a lot of teleporting in series 12. There's a lot of teleporting. I did not realize how much until I was watching a video on YouTube, which I think I shared with y'all, but their new account is like Love Letters to Doctor Who, I think. But they had like a counter going, and it was like Graham was the lowest with 9, and like Yaz and the Doctor were like 20 or something.
Oh my goodness, that is
just for that series.
That is quite a lot. Yeah, it's so good. And also just to comment on the music, like very like the name Spyfall, so obviously it's very James Bond inspired, but I feel like that's another example of, again, Seigun Akinola has the range of being able to do that very action heavy, and like again, like they had the motorcycle like chase and the like reverse like car scene and the plane, of course, at the end. I thought that leaning into the James Bond funness, especially in the first episode, was really fun. That was great. That's another part besides just praising Sacha Dhawan, which I could do forever. Another thing I loved about Spyfall Part 1.
I do think so. That makes there's some things I really, really love about Spyfall. At least Part 1. I had a harder time with Part 2. But like there's some things I really love, and it also highlights some of the things that I'm not a huge fan of in Chibnall's style of storytelling. Because I like the Master, brilliant, and I don't think I saw that coming at all, which is always nice. It's nice to feel surprised. I like that, not having been able to figure it out beforehand. But when I was rewatching this, I was thinking back to like Time Heist with the 12th Doctor, which is one of my all-time favorite episodes. And it like similarly with like a heist vibe, but I think it highlighted the kind of the difference in the storytelling a little bit, because I think in like Time Heist, everything's like very focused. You have a lot of like people doing kind of like different things, but it's like if you had this like one timeline and everyone's kind of like twirling around it and kind of like interconnecting around it, it's very like narrow and focused on this one thing. And I feel like a lot of things, and you see it especially in Part 2, but here now I feel like the storytelling style tends to be a lot more chaotic. So like, yes, we're doing a heist, but also there's all these different things coming in. When we get into like Part 2, we get like Ada Lovelace and Nora come in, and I was like, cool, you've got like 2 super cool powerful women from history, and they're like accessories, like they don't really do anything, they just sort of exist and they show up. And I feel like
intervention.
Well, I mean it's cool, but they don't do anything. I kind of wanted to see like a whole episode that was just them. And I feel like we're getting into it. Didn't show up as much, I think, in series 11, but now in series 12, like yes, we started out like super exciting. The thing in the plane, great. I love the Master reveal. And then I feel like it's a little bit not contained enough. From my perspective, like there's so much going on, and I feel like there's a habit, and it shows up a lot in this series, where like you want excitement, let's throw in another monster, let's throw in another curveball. You're already dealing with like 5, but you could do a 6th one. I think it came up a little bit right at the end of series 11 in particular, and like the last episode 10 in series 11, and then series 12 kind of, we set the tone here with Spyfall, with just like a lot happening all at once, which I think gives everything, all of those individual moments, a little less time to breathe. And I really want to spend more time with them. So I feel kind of mixed on it, on Spyfall, and I think the whole series. That kicks
I
off.
think this is a pretty good natural transition to Part 2, because I love like Spyfall Part 1. I feel like is focused enough specifically on like the O arc, and then also the kind of like James Bond vibes, whereas Part 2 that kind of unravels a little bit, just Because, yeah, I feel like Ada Lovelace, there's a little bit more activity from her, but Nora, like, it's great that Chibnall wanted to specifically feature, like, women of color dedicated to the resistance, historically speaking. But, yeah, she didn't actually get to do very much in that episode either. Like, the most I can think of Ada is, like, the, using the gun in the, kind of fair or, like science experiment show. I forget the term.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fair criticism. I think generally, like, I say this as a huge Spyfall fan, like, part 2 is not as well regarded as part 1, just overall, just because of, kind of those, I don't know if it's pacing issues, I would say.
Together.
Yeah, but, like,
the
it need to be
doctor
trimmed down
weaponizing racism.
It's a lack of restraint.
Don't even.
It's a lack of restraint that shows up really hard in part 2, I think.
Yeah.
It needs to be edited back.
Yeah. And I think that what you mentioned, Charlie, is definitely should not be ignored. That is something that I did not catch upon my first rewatch was, oh, she's throwing with the Nazis. Okay, that's kind of what you get for siding with the Nazis. That's messed up, though. But also I love when the doctor is, like, morally, like, unethical. But then the line about removing his perception filter, like, I think I watched without, like, captions the first time or something, but I was, like, I paused it. I was, like, gobsmacked that happened. And that's something that is talked about, and I actually grabbed the Doctor Who New Dawn is the academic book about the 13th Doctor, and there's a quote in one of the essays talking about, like, race in Doctor Who specifically, basically how that was completely unnecessary and really honestly just offensive to any fan of color and should not have made it past the first draft, and the fact that it got recorded, and also I know that was one of Sasha's first scenes, don't love that. So that's my one biggest criticism is, like, some people try to, like, argue or justify it, like, Watsonianly, which is the term for, like, in the story world, but, like, doyalistically or, like, in the real world, looking as a writer, that was just bad. That was just bad. Nothing else to say.
And also we have in Spyfall Part 2 mention of the Timeless Child, where the Master actually mentions the lie of the Timeless Child. So we're getting that link back in again.
Is part 2, I always forget where it is, but is part 2, is that where they have the scene of her going to check on Gallifrey? Because they have the, because, like, he has a little, that, one of my favorite scenes, you can't see it, but, like, right behind my bunny ear, there's a print of the painting signed by Jodie Whittaker. The actual painting is right above, but I'm not touching my webcam, of that scene, that I was able to do in, like, a tiny window when my chronic pain was manageable, from that scene on an acrylic painting, because I love it so much. Like, there's no dialogue, but it's so much, and I feel like that's something I also wanted more of, is just, like, those scenes where it can be really meaty angst with the Doctor. So that's also one of my parts. That's probably my favorite part of specifically part 2, is her going and checking Gallifrey and having that reveal, and just that really kind of powerful sequence of shots.
Yeah. It is a moment of quiet right at the end. Like, the story is pretty much done. And then you get this, like, 2 minutes right at the end where she's just kind of, like, staring at, like, destroyed Gallifrey. I did notice that they brought up that clip from series 11 episode 2 where they had the fabric thingies talking about the Timeless Child. So I was like, oh, you, like, nodded back to it in case you missed it.
Yeah.
Which was a nice nod. But, like, I appreciated the moment of quiet. I think what it felt to me, because there's so much happening before that, it took that entire moment and then some for it to actually sink in for me, because there's so much happening. Like, I'm just catching my breath now.
It's overstimulating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we get to sit with it long enough where I think, and the Master has this bit about, like, I'm not going to make this too easy on you. Like, if you want to know, like, everything else that happened around it, I'm not going to make it easy for you. And I feel like it's kind of setting up the rest of the series, which is great. I think I just needed a minute to catch my breath before then, to, like, let it sink in even harder, because then that's a nice setup, I think, for kind of what we see later.
Yeah. Another thing I had noted is the mind wiping without consent sort of inconsistency.
I love the Doctor being, like, morally gray.
Yeah, so, like, I'll talk about it again when we get to series 13 Flux, and there's, like, the gay telepathy and everything, but like, and also in the script, we almost got a 13 Noor hug before Thasmin. Before, okay, sorry, but but yeah, just like wiping their memories and like Ada like specifically not wanting to lose her memory, and then in the Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror episode in the same season, like Tesla and Edison like get to keep their memories and they're like inventors too, and I'm just like the inconsistency, the hypocrisy.
I'm trying to recall a different episode where he went to where the Doctor in any incarnation went to the past and wiped their memories.
Well, besides Donna, but
well,
I mean,
right. And Donna had kind of
like Elvis has a mobile phone and like all these things, and
right.
I'm just like, what?
That is fair.
But also the potential, there is a window potential for Big Finish with like Ada and Noor and stuff, because they were in the TARDIS together before, in between plots. So
yeah,
let's get some more stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And then I just have one Spyfall thing left to say, if we're about to switch. The Kasavin, the costume design, I still don't know how they did it, because when I met Ray Holman, that was like the one thing that like he held out on, because there was a book coming out about it, but I don't know what the book is or where it is, so I gotta find it. If anyone knows, let me know. But yes, I love that. I was just like, it's how I need to know. Okay, moving on.
Ooh, one more thing that I just realized as you were saying that is like, oh yeah, the Kasavin, like their concept of being like interdimensional beings is also kind of a little thread leading towards like Timeless Children. Not so much like an Easter egg, as it were, but that's like, oh, that's another thing that ties to it. Yeah. Yeah, we can kind of move on if we'd like. Orphan 55, it's a little stinky. I say there's always one turd every season of Doctor Who. There's always one. But that's my opinion. It's like there's fun moments, but the whole episode overall, the pacing's weird. It feels like this is the first draft of Praxeus message-wise. But that's all I really have. I don't have a ton of thoughts on that one, but
yeah, I have a few I can breeze through.
Without the message at the end, but
yeah, I think that's kind of one of the. So I generally enjoyed this one, but I felt like there was some parts that were like executed poorly, and that's one of them. And I feel like I've mentioned it in the panel before, and I got like a whoa, like we've talked about like important like climate issues or like whatever, like different kinds of issues before, and I was like, that's not the issue. I love that. Like anything to do with like the environment and stuff super resonates with me. So like that is completely up my alley. It's the exposition explaining like at the end.
It wasn't as well written as the similar messages I've seen in Doctor Who before.
Right. Yeah. Like we've had some like heavy hitting messages that probably should resonate with people. But it hasn't felt like we had to pause everything to do like a speech at the end.
Charlie, do you want to bring up what the other ending was supposed to be? The other version of the ending?
Because I read all the scripts again recently. The ending was like a little different in the script. I don't have it pulled up, but just like the last shot, instead of like the little like cliffhanger dialogue and then cutting right to like the drag like roaring at the camera, like with kind of this framing, it was I think it started off as like a wide shot and kind of pushed in and or something. I don't know. It was a little bit different. Yeah.
Like, how was it different in like messaging or?
No, just like as far as like camera movement and pacing and something a little bit. I think it might have played out a little better that way, but it was still essentially the same as far as content.
Yeah, I think this one they falls into this trap. It came up a little bit in series 11. It comes up in this one as well, or I feel like they've just run out of time and we need to do an exposition dump at the end just to catch up on all the things we didn't quite get to. And this one's an example of that. I also think like some of these the costuming is gorgeous in most of the series.
Most
of the series. This one's rough.
Yeah.
I thought, did I, maybe one of you know, I thought like I had heard that it was done that way because it might be more accessible for more cosplayers to be able to, am I making that up?
I think that's a
know.
bad excuse if someone said
I
that.
agree. I agree. Because I think part of the challenge that I enjoy about being a cosplayer is like being able to figure out like
How to
all
do
the really
something.
complicated cosplay stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it does, yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
really love that. I love the message. I loved the
Mhm.
theming. I loved kind of that the dregs existed as like
Mhm.
the monster. Like I was cool with that. I think the
Yeah.
beginning and the end were rough.
Yeah. It's more so the execution. Like the idea is cool. Drug's fun design. There's some really great one-liners in this episode that I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a few things like I noted like the sort of like coupley banter with Yaz and 13 like might get you out of your morning mood. My mood's fine. And then Ryan like having his one of his little reactions to them basically. And then I also wrote down um if I had crayons and half a can of spam, I could build you from scratch out of the
yes.
way.
That's one of the most iconic 13 lines, honestly.
Yeah. And then I also wrote the autism is autisming. And I think that was referring to when 13 sits between Orion and his girl of the week. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Who he was like in this, I was surprised to see in the script, like, I think in the script it said he was like moving to kiss her while she had a gun on him, which I thought that was interesting. But
That's a bad idea.
they didn't play it out that way. But I was just like, oh, that's a bold move. But yeah, so 13 just kind of sits down. It's like, so what's going on? She's completely oblivious. And this could also
Yeah.
like be somewhat of like it's a neurodivergent thing. It's like an arrow aspect thing, but like, and then it's like, yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just teasing the heck
And
out
that
of him.
whole thing with the bats. Just
The
duck
bats.
them until the hallucinations stop. And remember, they're not real bats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, lots
There
of good
was
lines there.
At least they
Yeah.
brought that back in one of the other episodes too.
Mm.
Oh, another iconic one is I'll be honest, all I've got is the letter P, but sometimes that's all I need as far as plans.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then I know like I think one of the main criticisms folks have is like the ending, like which we already talked about. But for me, it was like I was just like it was painful to watch like the doctor be left behind suffocating. Like and like Yaz was just with her and like worried about her and knew that she was about to run out of air. And then like for plot reasons, like they had to be separated. And I hate it when like plot happens just so plot can happen. So that kind of annoys me. But there is great fan art by Pink Explosions on Tumblr out there for that scene. It's a few years old now. You might have to scroll a lot, but
yeah. Do we want to keep moving on? I mean, for Tesla, for me, I would say love period costumes. Hate that it's a very forgetful episode for me. Like the monster, I don't really get their whole deal. It's a little boring. I love seeing the 13th Doctor getting to be a little more like angry and intimidating, but this one's just a little forgetful for me. That's kind of my own thoughts, is like tapping it like
not so fast, you big fat liar. I love that. That's like almost like a stimming thing for me. I love how she says that. I don't know why. But yeah, I also like is she always this impertinent? Yes. In unison, yes. That also reminds me of Percy Jackson because impertinent pops up there too. I like that there's reference to making things out of spoons. I love seeing 13 like geeking out with another inventor. I love that energy. Like that made me so happy. I love like Goggles 13 and like when she gets all like mechanic-y and engineering. Yeah. And I forgive some elements of this episode because I unlike some viewers which I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know about Nikola Tesla, but like I like a lot of folks kind of consider him like maybe on the asexual spectrum or like on the autism spectrum and things like that. And also like Doctor Who plays around with like history a bit to make things work and stuff. But like Dorothy wasn't actually there in that time. She was a real person that was an assistant and stuff, but they kind of set up this like, and this happened. I noticed this happens a lot when I watch, but another like Phasman parallel, a romantic parallel. But like that wasn't like actually a thing, sort of thing. So like I forgive it because it's Phasman parallel. I forgive.
Okay.
I love the line with Tesla saying, "Apparently, I'm not like other people. It can be difficult to feel like no one else sees the world the way you do. It's like you're," and the doctor chimes in, "out of place." Yes, Tesla was out of place. And then having the competition with Edison, that was just, yes, exactly.
Yeah. I feel sort of ambivalent about this one. I think the Skithra, I guess they're kind of like scorpion-y, but I kept thinking like they seemed very like spidery, like where it was showed up with the 10th Doctor and Donna. I don't remember the name of the creature. They were so similar to me.
Yeah. Which, fun fact,
Empress of the Rachnos.
But the actress who plays the Skithra in this is actually the now wife of Sacha Dhawan, who plays the Master.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, they're married? I know her from Sarah Jane Adventures.
Oh, yeah, they got married, and it was in Variety UK, because I am very normal. And also, big fan of South Asian fashion.
Just
So,
recently,
yeah.
Fun fact.
Nice.
Rani Chandra. Cool.
Anjali Mohindra is her name. So,
yes.
Yeah, but we can move on if it's a little kind of lighter, as it were. Big hitter is Fugitive of the Jadoon.
I got all my stuff other than my Phasman points, so we can move on.
Just for time, honestly, so we can just to make sure we have time for the Timeless Children. Fugitive of the Jadoon. I love this one. I was so convinced that it was going to be some sort of like one over, like it was way back with the Christmas special with the 10th Doctor, whereas the guy who somehow got they thought that he was another iteration of the Doctor. Like, I was so convinced that it was one of those again until like the TARDIS reveal, and I was like, oh, okay, they mean business right now. So that was a fun aspect upon my first watch. So I was like, no, this is real. This is the case. And also, even though this is pre-recorded, it's really exciting that she is the guest for Console Room this year. Jo Martin, the actress. I'm super excited about that. I still have to listen to her audios, but I'll do that. It's fine. I have a train ride trip between recording and the convention, so I'll listen to them then.
The second she appears in her outfit, that gravitas, she basically is the Doctor. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. And it usually takes me a while to like warm up to a Doctor usually, and it instantly warmed up to her. I love her. She is one of like my top 3 Doctors, and we barely see her. I want to see so much more with the Fugitive Doctor.
Yeah.
I love that she got to be on screen with Shooty later too. They had a great episode together. But we're not talking about that right now, but I love it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to jump like right towards the end. That was just my thought. But yes, go ahead. Other Katherine.
There's so many good lines. Is there a word for how dumb you are, Doctor? It was just so perfectly done.
And something that I realized towards the beginning, like, again, this is another episode with great rewatchability and a lot of really good subtlety, is the parallels between I forget the Fugitive Doctor's what her like kind of chameleon arch personas or what her name is, but like her being Ruth being a tour guide compared to the Doctor kind of showing companions the universe, like things like that I love. That you may not pick up on the first time. Well, you wouldn't necessarily make that connection right away because you don't know. But that's why this episode is another one that has really high rewatchability for me. Just because there's a lot of like kind of subtle, fun little details like that you get to pick up on, and also being in like having the church, like kind of there's a lot of like religious like parallels or imagery in having the church be the refuge that I could go on about that I think is really interesting.
I do think that when I was watching this one, I feel like I think I hit a point with the Tesla episode where I was kind of like, okay, like this is fine. Like I don't think I've seen any Doctor Who that I've like really disliked, but it's fine. And this one got me like tuned back in. I was like, oh, like you're changing all the rules, which is super interesting. And like I am like very invested in like what's happening now. I feel like that was like a really that was a moment for me, like when I rewatched it too, and it's what I'm looking forward to like in my rewatch now, getting to that point, because like I think that that was kind of where they like flipped all the stories on their head. And I know in Spyfall, the master says everything you know or everything you think you know is wrong. And I feel like they are living up to that with this one, which is great. I love it.
And we're concentrating a lot on Joe Martin's Doctor, but what about the return of Jack Harkness?
Oh, right, yeah, because that's like, I forget that's in this episode as well. It's kind of like started, like only teased.
And the way he latches onto poor Graham.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Poor Graham. I know a lot of people kind of like not necessarily seriously, but like kind of shipped him, like Graham and Jack, but that's also because Jack flirts with everyone. But poor Graham was so like flustered. I can't help but feel like that's the best word to describe it. That was great. And I thought it was kind of honestly funny in the way that it was like he kept getting everyone but the Doctor, but also kind of helped keep that tension for the eventual special, for when they do get to interact. But yeah, I don't know if people had other thoughts or if they're just tied up with kind of the Timeless Children stuff, since that is a major point, but we could kind of keep going if...
I can give more close, but let's move on to the next episode.
Oh, okay. I have a couple more things for Fugitive. I got a few that I pulled up, like Joe Martin playing the first Black incarnation of the Doctor to appear in the main series. It was like the wording that I think is accurate. Love the line, never been a fan of growing up. I use that a lot. I like refreshed a bit on the interview with Joe Martin, where she talked about like Colin Baker being her doctor, and she's watched since then. And like when she was younger, she'd use all her mom's like tinfoil to like make her cousins Daleks, and then she'd play the Doctor. But then they'd say, like the cousins would say, like, but you can't be the Doctor. The Doctor's not a girl. The Doctor's not Black. And to like go from that to like being the Doctor and being that for other people, and like other like fans watching someone like them like be the Doctor is just like so huge. I'm so happy that that's happened, and now we have Shooty and everything too. And then there also was there was a bit more. I was gonna like quote an article about like a little bit about like the police stuff, but like I don't think we have time to go into that anyway. But I thought that was interesting.
Yes, the next one I have on, like, if we're going kind of episode by episode, Praxeus, I honestly probably should have rewatched this one because I feel like I've rewatched this less than some of the other episodes in the season. Because yeah, it's been a while. I've had a very similar message to Orphan 55, but I feel like better executed. Really loved the queer representation. I was so worried about having a bury your gays trope, which for people who are watching this, that comes from the Hays Code, where like you could show queer characters, but they had to be like kind of punished by the narrative a lot of times, meaning they had to die. So that's what bury your gays mean. I was worried they were going to kill off one of them, just since that is an unfortunate historical trope we're trying to kind of avoid when we can. Maybe eventually it'll be like less kind of dicey to kill off.
And there was some of that in series 11, but this, this is better.
They made up for it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I remember them like posting about it or something, like where they had a picture of the gay couple from Praxeus, and then like Yaz and the Doctor, and be like, have you heard the story of like the like cop and the astronaut, or some wording that applies to both of them, for yet another parallel.
This episode has a lot of parallels that even I, without my shipper goggles on, I would say are pretty clear.
And we were robbed of Yaz's reaction. Like the camera like moved back in time because I had to get 13's next line, but we just barely missed Yaz's reaction, like when the couple was kissing and 13 was saying, "I'm such a romantic," and we left Yaz out of it.
Oh
no! She deserved to be there for that, but it's fine. This is a great episode for like what I call like the doctorification of Yaz. We see a lot of Yaz's ambition and like kind of filling the doctor's shoes, or like taking on more of that role. And there are also like some parallels with Yaz and Clara with like kind of becoming the doctor, but like Yaz's there's like very
hers
like
ends better.
Altruistic. Yeah, ends better. Altruistic in nature. It's less of kind of like the ego of like being the doctor, and it's more of like, I want to make a change. I want to help people. And that's always like been her drive, and kind of like her identity arc, like with her like queer identity, but also with like how she wants to make change and like what is her way of doing that. Like, is it being a cop? Is it, this, like, yeah, is it, traveling with Jack or joining UNIT or like what, we don't know yet for the what happens after. But yeah, I love the character development, the banter. This was an episode that actually I felt like utilized all the companions, like having a big TARDIS crew, and this one like setting them off on different missions all around the the world, and I felt like that made sense mechanically. And then oh yeah, I already mentioned the banter, but the alley scene. Does anyone else love the alley scene?
It's been a minute. You're gonna have to specify.
Okay. So picture this. There's pink lighting. They're in Hong Kong, which is actually not Hong Kong, but we're pretending it's Hong Kong because it's a show. And on the wall, right, there are neon signs in the shape of 2 hearts and a star. Wonder what that stands for. And then and everyone's like heading back to the TARDIS, like all these people, I don't even know who's there, like a group of people. There's a lot of people. And Yaz is kind of trailing last, and the doctor's like, all right, everybody, let's go. And Yaz is like, no, like there was something back there that like seemed important to them. I want to go back and get it. And then they kind of have this moment like where it's like tension of like, I imagine the doctor's thinking of, all the past companions, don't wander off, like, going and flying too close to the sun and everything. And I imagine like a lot of maybe some of the trauma coming up, some of the like caring a lot about Yaz. But Yaz, gets 1 hour. They agree on 1 hour, come back for Yaz in an hour. And it's just like this gorgeous little scene. And she even, adding to the doctorification of Yaz, she even gets her own companion, because Gabriella, one of the episode characters, joins her. And so you see Yaz walking and Gabriella going to catch up in a very companion, running with the doctor kind of way. And then the doctor standing in the TARDIS with this look where you can interpret whatever. I think of the past companions and trauma. And then she closes the door. I just love that scene. Oh, also, go ahead. You go.
I was just gonna ask if Amber had any specific thoughts on this episode.
Oh, I think and it's been a minute since I haven't quite gotten to this part in my rewatch.
Okay, kind of like me.
There, yeah. So I do think that this was the point, on the doctorification of Yaz, where I was worried. Because
that's fair.
I like to cosplay as Clara because I really like her style. But I think by the end of Clara's run, I was kind of at some point you're not really working together anymore. Yeah. Right. You've kind of I don't know, sort of outgrown the doctor, but you're also being sort of a bully about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want
Yaz in the foot a bit.
Right. Yeah. I didn't want Yaz to go down that road, and I don't think that she does. You see her kind of growing in confidence and kind of action as we go from the very beginning to now. And I think this is the point where I was starting to get a little worried. Is this gonna be another Clara? And I do like Clara. I just think she got out of control at the end and probably needed someone to take her down a peg. Yeah.
It is interesting thinking about the doctorification, and Clara's is such a tragic way, and Yaz is kind of the happy ending way almost.
And Yaz saying to her companion didn't teleport into a live volcano. Result.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just my last quick thing for Praxeus is there is a character named Ramu, and it's just like this like plot hole, and like justice for Ramu. So, if anyone remembers Ramu, okay.
Not. Also, just for time,
right?
it's 44 minutes. We're 4 minutes in,
Okay.
and we are roughly like 2/3. So, the next episode is the Can You Hear Me, which I think is another episode that I feel like, and sometimes I feel like I forget a little bit. My main thoughts is interesting discussion on mental health that kind of went weird at the end. And also another set of kind of fun parallels, I feel like, to The Timeless Children in these kind of like big, almost like all-powerful-esque
Childlike beings.
larger, like godlike beings. Also love basically it was set up as a trap for the Doctor to free the evil person, because she's like, oh no, this poor person is like being hurt, and having that be used against her, I think, is delicious. Yeah, that's kind of my quick thoughts on this episode, just because I want to have time for others.
Favorite lines? Terrible thing about being older. You got all this experience and no one wants to hear it. And unfortunately, that's also where we have the scene with Graham. I should be saying a reassuring thing now, shouldn't I? Where she basically doesn't have the confidence to actually reply to him.
Yeah, and I can see both in how, like, tonally, I think, as a writer, I feel like it was an odd turn. I know that Chibnall had apparently written that about his own experience when he had cancer, which I feel bad for him. But also some people also like that scene for the kind of, like, clearly like autistic behaviors. I say as someone probably most likely undiagnosed autistic. So basically I can see all the different viewpoints. I think tonally it didn't quite line up, but I understand why people like or dislike it in the episode.
Yeah, I was going to bring up some of those things, so that helps make things quicker. And then I like that we got more of like Yaz's mental health stuff, and how like I think the show handled like her like depression and like suicide attempt stuff kind of like in a pretty well. And then I also really wish we got like a two-parter with the Eternals. I feel like they like I wanted more with the Eternals. I think they were like pretty epic villains there.
Yeah, cool concept. Could have dug in more.
I feel like this is how I feel about so much of like all of Jodie's episodes, is that I wanted more of everyone. I wanted
the universe, more of 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had everything kind of crammed in really quickly.
Yeah, just a little trimming would help give more breathing room, I feel like. Something you've mentioned. But yeah, so we're at 47 minutes, so we're doing good. Haunting of Via Diodati, one of my favorite episodes. My personal highlights are the Cyberman, Frankenstein. I mean, not even allegory, it's just like clearly there as like a through line. I think the lone Cyberman is such an interesting concept, and it wasn't too spooky. It would have been scary for 7-year-old Katherine. And there's a lot of that's my train, but basically love this episode. I love the speech with the 13th Doctor, like this team structure isn't flat. It's sometimes like me at the summit alone to decide. One of my favorite 13th Doctor moments in the show. It's delicious. I think I just like the Doctor being a little mean. But I feel like with Chibnall's writing style, the 13th Doctor, like, she just doesn't have as many like quotes that aren't just like little quips. Like, she doesn't have as many like really solid speeches, I feel like, just in the writing style. And this, I feel like we got, which I know this episode, I don't think it was written by Chibnall specifically, but this like is one of my favorite monologues, especially since it's so hard hitting about like the kind of the weight of her like decisions and having to deal with that. I think is always really delicious, but it's really well done. So that's like my favorite part of this episode.
Yeah, because she has a really good monologue about, do we save Shelley or we basically let him die? It's like, yes, this is just perfect.
Yeah. I feel mixed about this one. Mostly because I I've read Frankenstein multiple times. And I don't do horror really well, actually. I think I heard an interview with Moffat at one point where he was talking about like horror, and he emphasized that like this is a kids show, so the horror is at kids level, and I was like, sometimes it's still a little bit too much for me. Like I am very not good with horror, but I do love the story about Frankenstein. Usually, like on a couple watches through or read through, the horror is a little easier because now I know what to expect. Um, and I feel like what I really what I really wanted what I probably really wanted was Moffat to do this episode actually
Yeah, that's
versus
fair.
Chibnall. Because
More
I
horror.
think he does a really good job of having sort of like a dark quiet. And I think that's what I really wanted out of this, like because I knew that the Frankenstein one was coming up and that they're going to be meeting Mary Shelley, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like this is what I need. And then it started out kind of silly, and I
Yeah, that's
feel like
fair.
it didn't get to the point where I wanted I tend to prefer fewer characters. Like if we could have just focused on like Mary Shelley and the doctor and like kind of pulled away some of the things and just focused on this very like the core part of the story, and then let it kind of breathe in that darkness a little bit more, I think it would have hit like the note that I was hoping it was going to.
Mm,
But
that's fair.
I think Chibnall's style tends to be a lot more chaotic and
Hmm.
active.
Hmm.
So it didn't ever quite hit that for me. And I get to like, because I was looking forward to this one because it was on Frankenstein, my expectations and like where I wanted it to be, there's no way it was going to align with what we
Mm,
saw. I get that. And so I always say like you need to rewatch it. Maybe
hmm.
even a couple times because you need to give your brain a chance to like accept, I think, what the writers gave you versus what you were hoping or expecting it to be. So
Hmm.
um I'm hoping on like a rewatch maybe I can appreciate it a little bit more. But I know the first, I don't know, I was just kind of,
Hoping something a little darker,
yeah, I
more
wanted something
serious.
a little
Hmm.
quieter, a little darker, a little more serious. I
Hmm.
think that the special with the 14th Doctor and Donna, where they're on the ship, I
Oh
never remember.
yeah,
So it's the
Yeah.
blue something.
The
Blue, Wild Blue Yonder.
Wild Blue Yonder, yeah.
That was a bit more
Like
what you wanted.
that's the vibe that I wanted, where
Mm,
it's like you've got two people in this
okay.
close set, and you just get to let them like be people, and like you get some of those like deep moments and stuff.
Hmm.
While also dealing with this, and Frankenstein would have been such a good setting
Yeah.
for like
Hmm.
some really quiet, dark horror, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Ch-
fine, it's fun. It's just not kind of what I was hoping.
yeah, that's fair. Charlie, I know there's some good Phasmin stuff in this episode in particular.
Why, yes, there is. So, yeah, Maxine Alderton, I think, was the writer for this one, or like co-writer. I'm not sure how
Hmm.
much. But yeah, there was some good Basman, and I think I sent out receipts for everyone to know what I'm talking about. But but like one of the things was like, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. Well, of course I do. This enigmatic person of yours, would you trade them for reliable and dull? My person's a bit different.
Yep.
All right.
That's
Yep.
what I was thinking of.
And
Mhm.
and I remember like after that happened, I remember like one of the like websites that was like reviewing the episode was like, Ryan's not enigmatic. What are you talking about? And I'm like,
That is so. That's what I'm gonna call just heteronormative because he's a boy and she's a girl around the same age.
yeah,
They do not have that type of
I'm just
chemistry. I
like,
feel like at all in the
gosh,
show.
I wonder who's enigmatic around here. Anyway, I love the waistcoat that 13 has.
Mhm.
I love,
She's
love,
like,
love that waistcoat. I have
she's
two of
like, I'll
that
try a little
waistcoat.
bit, but like, she's like, yeah, I'll kind of do it, but not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I read a little fic with like Autistic 13 where like she didn't like the texture of or like the, you know, the outfits and the texture of the materials, and so she just stuck with the waistcoat, which is awesome.
Oh, that's sweet.
I just read that recently. I don't remember which one, but I was like, oh yay, more Autistic 13, like more non-binary 13. But yeah, I want to be in the room where it happened, when the room where they talked when the rule to not snog Byron. What was the conversation there? I want to be there for that. But yeah, more of 13 being revolted by men, no touchy, and just like trying to avoid him. Like, and then like I watched it like frame by frame their dance before, and like he actually like grabs her at one point, and that was not in the script. So they like really leaned into it. But yeah, and there was because at this point I was in the online fandom and paying attention. Like I was on Twitter. This was the Twitter times. And like BBC posted like we say it's the BBC intern. I don't know who posted it, but it was like, we doubt Lord Byron has two hearts and like has the enigmatic. My person's a bit different. And they deleted it after, but we had receipts. We were there. We were ready. I got them. Anyone needs them, come to me. But the lighting in this episode, gorgeous.
Visually stunning.
Gorgeous. All of it. I love it. I like that we got a little bit of like, not directly mentioned, but like the Bill Cybermen stuff, like the trauma was really stirred up by seeing Ashad. And oh yeah, that's all the notes that I wrote.
That's well, that works because we're at 54 minutes, and I definitely won't have time for Timeless Children, which we're kind of combining Ascension the Cybermen to Timeless Children. The only note I had about Ascension was basically the angst about Bill. Somehow, when I first watched Series 12, I never finished Series 10. I didn't realize it. Yes, 12's regeneration episode was confusing. Insane. So then rewatching that, I was like, this is so much yummier. The angst about, like, because for people who, okay, if you haven't seen it, it's been out for how long? Like, the last companion before the 13th Doctor died by being turned into a Cyberman, basically. So having that be very fresh, relatively, like, in the whole lifetime of the Doctor, delicious. But, yeah, I'll let other people speak before I share my big thoughts about the Timeless Children, because I have a lot of them, more positive than some, but...
I would do that in a
basically
heartbeat
have
for
one
you.
favorite.
Yay.
Just basically have one favorite quote. If anybody's got any heartfelt end of life speeches, now is probably the moment. Oh God, you're not really going to do that now. Like, yes.
Yeah, that's so good.
A whole different approach to, oh my gosh, we're going to crash.
The queerness on a scale of 1 to 10 is 13. It's getting there. It's just escalating continuously at this point. One thing I noticed with Yaz, like throughout, I don't even know how many episodes, is an example here from the Timeless Children is, we're not letting you go. We're not doing this. It's clearly Yaz. It's Yaz. Yaz doesn't want her to go. Like, Yaz isn't going to let her do this. Everyone else is standing still, like, well, someone's got to do it. We're not going to think of something like an automatic delayed timer or something. No, we're going to let trauma make decisions. We're not thinking of other solutions. So, but it's Yaz. And she'll often use we when she really means like me. And this is very much like the little baby gay, not really knowing stuff. So that's very like, and especially after the, I would do that in a heartbeat for you, and the like double take at Yaz, and I'm just like freaking out. I was freaking out. And I love the like move I'm gay, like Yaz hero journey to go get the doctor, the doctorification of Yaz. When Graham brings up the back from arachnids, you're the best person I ever met thing that Yaz said to 13. And Graham's like, well, I think you're the best person. You're great, Yaz, or whatever. I'm not going to go through all of it right now. But basically, if you take that part from the Timeless Children and you like rewind back there to arachnids, from what Yaz says here, like, mate, I'm from Yorkshire. That's a love letter for saying like you're an all right human. So that was basically like a marriage proposal. I'm just saying, in hindsight, 13 out of 10. And then I won't like dive too much into the Timeless Children because I don't want to gab too much. But like it, like I noticed back with Ghost Monument, like I already thought like 13 was a timeless child. So like that was not a big surprise for me. It ties, like the timeless child stuff, like ties into like my own trauma and stuff. So I related a lot. And then I want to like highly recommend folks check out Chris Chibnall versus the British Empire by Claudia Bolin, video essay about 45 minutes long on YouTube. And that is just like half the thoughts I have on the Timeless Children. Like, Claudia says it better. Go, give them some attention and support them. Like they're great. and yeah, it'll go over like the power of history, abuse of Black women, hidden trauma, military manipulation, dual heritage. Like it's very thorough. And oh yeah, and of course,
basically gaslighting.
Yeah.
all the things, gaslighting, whitewashing history, what does it mean to be British, appropriation, and all the things. And then like Chris Chibnall and was also like adopted and that like partially inspired the Timeless Children. Memory, like this note is, I wrote this after reading some of Joy Piedmont's like from the Reality Bomb podcast, so like go check that out too for more from Joy. But like Memory being missing because of abuse she endured, and like adoptee trauma tying in there. I have like different trauma, but like that definitely ties in for me. And memory loss like ties in a lot with 13 her whole time, and just like the layers. So many layers. Okay.
Yeah. Amber, did you have any specific thoughts? I just want to make sure I give you time to talk about it too.
I mean the main thing for me, because like this was a huge reveal, right? Was that we basically changed the whole timeline, which I think is the biggest. I don't even want to say criticism. Yeah, controversy that I hear of is like people are like, well, you've changed, the entire series is different now because you've changed like what Time Lords are, and who the Doctor is, and this is kind of one of the points where one of the things I love about Doctor Who is because it is literally infinite. There are infinite possibilities. They can go literally anywhere, anytime, any place. And they could see anything. It's one of the things that like makes this series so genius, I think. And I just like the show as a whole. And it's one of those points where I'm kind of just like, you got to take a step back and just enjoy the ride at some point. Things are going to, it's the one inevitability I think in this show is that things will change. And I think so, like, it's different for sure. I don't have any like issues with it or anything, because it's just a new piece of the puzzle, and we get a larger universe from it. And if it opens up even more possibilities, I mean the possibilities were already infinite. We just know slightly more about them. So that's kind of like my big like little like soapbox, I guess, on the kind of the whole concept is just at some point you just got to enjoy the ride. This is the direction they're taking us in, and it's part of the story now.
Because I basically, it took me a while to accept it, and then I started suddenly realizing the show is basically what this Doctor remembers. They don't remember the past, so it's quite possible that there are other Doctors.
Yeah, the way I view this, I get why people dislike it for the idea that now the Doctor is special. Like, the Great Master quote is that, you always thought you were special, you're different, and it's because you are. So I get why people don't necessarily love that. For, like, the thing of they're special, or, like, the chosen one. For me, I find it delicious because I love Gallifrey lore. That's why I've really been enjoying Classic Who, and EU stuff. But, I think it adds a really like deliciously tragic flavor to the Doctor and their backstory. And another thing I want to just mention, we talked about like the kind of colonial metaphor. Like this is more obvious for people who've watched Classic Who. I didn't realize this as a newer viewer, but the like Gallifrey is very much a metaphor for the British Empire. The idea of Gallifrey's non-interference was very much reflective of the British Empire crumbling, them leaving a ton of power vacuums and not taking responsibility for the violence and bloodshed that happened once they created those power vacuums. So the memories being Irish specifically, I think, is very deliberate in that Irish were the first people that the British colonized, historically speaking. And also the... I don't know, it's, as someone also has different flavors of trauma, I have specifically a lot of medical trauma with my own just complicated health issues and feeling like a lab rat. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this backstory being added for the Doctor and the 13th Doctor specifically, and having that character who had been something, I'm gonna get a little verklempt, but through something like that, when I was going through it was huge. Sorry. That's just what I want to say. But I'll stop crying if I talk about the Master. The one thing I do want to mention about is just, obviously he's a big part of this episode. He monologues a bunch. Sorry, I forgot you, Terry. But he, like, his unhealthy obsession with the Doctor, and I get people being upset about it being destroyed off camera. I now just joke that I think that Gallifrey should just be destroyed and rebuilt like a light switch at this point, because it's been destroyed and then built back up so many times before. But this episode is so fascinating because the Master is, especially now that I watched Classic Who, very, very into survival. He's literally a husk and stealing bodies in classic Doctor Who to stay alive. And in this episode, I can't remember if it's in Ascension or The Timeless Children, there's a point where he shrinks a shot and he was like, I was hoping this would just all be done. Where it's like, wow, he is suicidal, like capital S suicidal. And then wanting to die, but wanting the Doctor to it, not just wanting to die randomly, like wanting to destroy her too. It's so unhealthy, toxic, self-destructive, delicious. I love it. I have like a lot of the time with child scenes like basically memorized. And the Doctor getting to literally like shove him. I don't know if we've had that much physical violence with the Doctor and the Master, even if it was in the Matrix, like on screen in New Who. I loved it. And like also mentioned the whole identity and concept of like of adoption, like coming from Chibnall, who's adopted. It's a lot. It's really good. It's delicious. This gave me fun Doctor Who lore and great angst for my favorite Doctor. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Time-wise, we are at 105. I didn't know if we wanted to try moving the special to the Series 13 episode, just like,
but we still have Revolution of the Daleks.
No, that's what I was wondering, if we should move it to the next one, just since we are over time already, but just because there are less episodes.
But there are also all the specials on top of 13. We need a whole other session.
I feel like we could have had a deep dive, like a 3-part deep dive on just the Timeless Children.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, true. That's true.
Okay.
Next year.
Yeah, basically, I love it. I respect why people don't love it, but also Doctor Who canon is already so inconsistent. It's kind of a pick your own adventure. So if you're like, that's not canon to me, that's fair. For me, River is not part Time Lord because that doesn't make sense. But that's my own personal opinion. The only other EU stuff I would really want to shout out is specifically the I Am the Master book I got for Christmas. It does have other little stories, and they are, I mean, some of them are like, meh, fine, and some of them are really fun, but a decent chunk of it, like, I think, is there a bookmark? Oh yeah, I do have a bookmark in here from where it starts. Is specifically like this much of it is a vignette or like a basically like a little novella about the Master in between on those when he's stuck on Earth for 77 years, and he's basically the like Soviet equivalent of a unit advisor, very much paralleling a parallel with the Third Doctor working with UNIT in the 70s. So I highly recommend that. I think it's really fun. I should honestly reread it. I got to meet Matthew Sweet, the author of this short story, and talk with him about it, and that was really fun. And that was really good. And I also helped out with the 77 Years zine. So Charlie, you probably know Nat. Kat had worked on this. Nat's girlfriend had worked on this. And yeah, which is basically the same concept. What did he do during those 70 years is the only like EU thing that I really want to shout out. And yeah, that's kind of just my final thoughts. And obviously we'll still talk about the Timeless Children stuff in the part for Series 13, since that is such a big part of that arc as well. But if anybody else had ending thoughts, that's kind of Series 12. I love it. Lots of really great individual episodes that I like. Lots of big picture stuff that I like. Kind of the issues that are there are just, you know, some things maybe I wanted to see more of, or just different style, like matters of taste with the 13th Doctor era. But I feel like I'm very much on the super enjoying end of things in the gradient of enjoying Doctor Who.
In Revolution, you basically have Jack discussing with Yaz that she doesn't have any control when the Doctor leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, all the
Amanda should have gotten a BAFTA for that scene. That was gorgeous.
Really good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So much Thasmin to discuss for that episode.
Yeah.
But that is my number one is Mandip.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gosh, I don't even like there's so much, and I'm also like the bits of like Dark Doctor that we got in there sprinkled in.
Yes.
There was like a
I
bit
do
of a
love-
gut punch for the chosen family stuff on a personal level for me. And then I also love like the Doctor and Yaz's like sort of parallel identity journeys just throughout their time together. And then if I thought my trauma was getting drudged up with the Timeless children, oh, just wait for more. There's more to come. Okay.
But yeah, if anyone had more thoughts on specifically Series 12, then share them now. Otherwise, we can definitely get to the good stuff for the Series 13 and specials panel that we'll record in a couple days from now. But
I do like
you'll
the
kind of
fact
watch
the
it
way the
whenever.
doctor decided to just basically trick the Daleks
Mm,
and
He
Yeah.
just
sacrificed a
basically.
TARDIS.
yeah, that's another thing that the ethics
Oh, it's a
sometimes.
nice TARDIS house. Ah.
Yeah. There's like
Okay,
she does unethical things, and I love that, but they don't really explore it. I'm like, no, but I want to explore it too.
yes. Okay, but just picture this. Like, it's not on screen, but the Doctor goes into the TARDIS covered in sticky notes. It's basically the inside of Yaz's mind the past 10 months. And all the trauma 13 has been keeping in because she realized all like, well, partially just because that's what the Doctor does, but partially because she realized she messed up with the timing. And then to have that just like, oh, and it's a little bit of like, Yaz is super attached to me, you know, guilt because this happened and so many things. But then she goes to teach Yaz how to pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to not talk.
Amber?
No, you're good. Yeah, we are right at 1 hour and 10 minutes, so that might be a good spot to pause. But yeah, definitely check out the other panels that we have, and yeah, don't know if you had any outro or anything.
Yeah, yep, I got a little one. Thanks for joining us today. This panel was covering Series 12, but we also have Series 11 and 13, and I'd love to have one just on the specials, but I don't make the rules. I don't know, that's someone else's decision. But yeah, we can go around one more time real quick just to like do our names and socials and everything. So my name is Charlie, my pronouns are they, them. Super excited to be here. I was a panelist last year, and I love like Chibnall-Era and 13 and everything, so I'm like, this is my favorite thing to talk about, and I'm glad I get to talk about it with all of you. And you can like find links to all my things on my link tree. That's like linktr.ee/she regenerated 13.
Yeah. My name is Katherine, pronouns she, her. I'm Silvermoon442 on most places. Fandom-wise, probably most active on Tumblr. And yeah, love the 13th Doctor. Series 12 is probably my favorite series of hers, so this was very fun to get to talk about.
I'm Katherine Sullivan, katherinesullivan.com. If you're at the con, come down and stop and visit me in Artist Alley.
And I'm Amber, use she, her pronouns. I am Raden Studios on socials. I also have a link tree. It's the link tr.ee/Raden Studios. If you want to find me online, otherwise I will be in person at the con too.
Yeah.